all we can do is what we think is right. All right. And what we think is right is not always right. But if we do what we think is right, eventually we learn what is right. And that makes us a better human and a good human. And my personal take on goodness is not what I think most people think goodness is. I think when most people think of goodness, they think of the outward appearance of being a decent human. Like, I'm going to post some Bible quotes. I'm going to pretend I'm extra holy. I'm going to pretend I care about things. But then in real life, dude, you can kind of see that the puzzle doesn't truly connect, right? So I think the ultimate thing that you have to understand is that when you do good, you get good. When you treat people right, you get treated right. When you have good intentions for other people have good intentions for you. And even if they don't, you end up winning anyway, because good always triumphs evil. And so the intent of making the right decisions, of what you know and feel in your heart to be right, even if it ends up being wrong, is still you going down the path of becoming a better person, because you're going to learn, right? None of us make all the right decisions. None of us even make the decisions that are the good decisions all the time in our life. Sometimes we're like, fuck, I'll get away with this one. And bro, those always come back to bite you in the ass in a really bad way. And I learned this lesson from my mom, dude. You know, I talk an awful lot about my dad because he taught us a lot of practical, you know, mindset and even business advice growing up. But this was a lesson I learned from my mom. And you guys who listen to MFCEO, you've heard this story before. But when I was a little kid, I can't remember how old I was. I was little, though. We were walking down the aisle of Deerbergs over there on Tesson Ferry. And we always had like Tang and occasionally Kool-Aid and stuff like that. But really it was like, you know, we were Tang. You know what I'm saying?
I Flavor 8.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And we were walking down the aisle of the Kool-Aid aisle, you know, and it's like all these colors. And dude, I'm seeing the Kool-Aid man bust through the wall. Oh, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like Kool-Aid was a good brand when you were a kid, bro. And we're in the Kool-Aid aisle and I see Mountain Berry Punch, bro. And I remember this very clearly. People are like, how the fuck can you remember a flavor that they haven't even made in 20 years? Well, You'll know when I tell you. So, it's amazing what you remember when you get your ass beat for it. so I told my mom, I remember, I'm like, Mom, let's get this Mountain Berry Punch. And she's like, no. And I'm like, no, come on, let's get it. And she's like, put that back, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't put it back. I put it in my pocket. And we went through the store, we went home, and I didn't think this, you know, very far ahead because I didn't know how to make fucking Kool-Aid. So I wanted the Kool-Aid. And I pulled the packet out and I'm like, Mom, will you make a Kool-Aid? And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, it's Mountain Berry Punch. And dude, she went, I remember this. She went straight to the fucking wooden spoon drawer.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And went to work.
Dude, those wooden spoons.
Yes.
Ain't cool.
And then after the work was done, I had to give the Kool-Aid back to the Deerbergs. So she drove me up to Deerbergs and I had to walk in and be like, hey, I stole this. And bro, it was one of the most important lessons I ever learned in my life, which was to do the right thing. And I think the lesson there is, even when you do something wrong and you figure out it's wrong, make it right.
Make it right.
And I think that this is the binding glue of American culture. I think it's very, very important that all of us try to do what's right and try to live what's right. And then when we make wrong decisions, we take accountability and we stand up. We say, hey, I fucked up there. I shouldn't have done that. And then don't do those things again. And I think we could talk about success. We can talk about making money. We could talk about the ultimate rebellion. We could talk about all this shit. But everything that we talk about here comes back down to doing the right thing and treating people right and being a good human. And my dad used to say something similar to this, but it was regarding the animals. You know, we're animal people. My dad always said, he's like, if you be good to animals, good things happen to you. And dude, I believe that. Because I love animals, and it doesn't matter if it's like a turtle or a deer or a duck. Like, I'm not a hunter, like, and I'm not, no shade on anybody that does, dude. I get it. Like, I get the whole thing. And I would definitely, if that's what I need to do, I have no problem with it. But at the end of the day, you know, I think that's true. I think when we're good to animals and when we're good to people, I think good things happen to us. And I think God, I think when we put that intent out there, we get that back. And I've just seen too much of it to deny its reality. You know what I mean? I think it's real. I think when you treat people right, people treat you right. I think when you do good things happen to you. And if we're going to talk about it in a practical sense, I think that's what we're missing in the world. What we're missing is a bunch of people who are willing to do the right thing no matter what, which is why we see so many people being silent in the face of all this stuff going on in the world, because they're afraid. They know what's right, but they don't do it. You know what I mean? And dude, ultimately, when you know what's right and you don't follow through with doing what's right, what ends up happening is you end up having a lot of guilt, a lot of frustration, and a lot of pain later because you realize that you were a coward in the time when it was time to do the right thing. And my brother always says this, man. He says there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. And I think that's one of the most real statements that could possibly be made. And I think it affects everything. I think it affects your personal life. I think it affects your professional life. I think it affects how you feel about yourself. And I think it affects the amount of success that you're going to have in the world and the impact that you're going to have on the world. So when you ask how important is it, I think it's the fundamental, most important thing that you could ever do is to try to do the right thing at every possible opportunity.